Okay, so let's try and unpack this headline we've seen. Global tropical forest loss in 2024, it jumped, what, 80% compared to the year before?
80%, yeah.
That's just staggering. 6.7 million hectares gone. And the Amazon rainforest seems to be, well, ground zero for this, catastrophic fires. And they're saying it's largely linked to climate change.
That 80% figure, it's not just a blip, is it? It really signals something serious is accelerating, a very worrying trend.
Yeah.
And yes, the Amazon is absolutely central to this story.
Because, when we talk Amazon, it's easy to just picture trees, lots of them. But it's so much more. It's the whole lungs of the earth idea, right?
Exactly.
Producing like a massive amount of our oxygen, pulling in huge quantities of co-ro. That's fundamental for climate regulation, isn't it?
Absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
Historically, the Amazon's been this huge carbon sink, absorbing more carbon than it releases.
Right.
But the worry now, the big concern, is that with all this deforestation, these intense fires, it's pushing the Amazon towards becoming a net carbon emitter.
Just not a sink.
Precisely. And if that tipping point is reached, well, the consequences for global warming could be really profound.
And it's not just about carbon and air, is it? I was reading something quite striking that the Amazon actually affects weather patterns way beyond South America, like rainfall in the U.S. Midwest.
That's right. It's a connection people don't often make. The sheer amount of water vapor released by the Amazon's canopy forms these atmospheric rivers. And they are genuinely crucial for rainfall patterns across the Americas, including places like the Midwest. So when you disrupt that system through deforestation,
It has knock-on effects far away.
big time. We're really just starting to grasp the full scale of those hydrological impacts. So yeah, definitely not just a local issue.
Okay. So given all that, the mission for us in this deep dive seems pretty clear. We need to really get to grips with what these 2024 fires, this huge global forest loss, actually signifies based on the report we're looking at.
Let's do that. Because beyond the climate angle, which is critical, there are these other vital roles the Amazon plays. We focus a lot on carbon. Maybe sometimes we overlook the rest.
I think that's fair. Like the biodiversity, it's just mind-boggling. Over 40,000 plant species mentioned.
Incredible numbers.
And what really caught my eye was the medicinal potential. Treatments for cancer, heart disease, malaria things discovered from Amazonian plants. It's like this vast living pharmacy that we're just letting burn.
That intersection of biodiversity and potential human health breakthroughs, it's a huge, often underappreciated consequence of losing the rainforest. What undiscovered cures are we losing right now?
Yeah. And then there's the water. The Amazon River system, it supplies a fifth of the planet's fresh water.
A fifth. Think about that.
Supporting millions of people, countless species. It's just foundational.
And speaking of people, we absolutely have to talk about the indigenous communities. Over 400 distinct groups call the Amazon home. Their entire existence, culture, food, spirituality, it's all woven into the fabric of the rainforest. And importantly, they are often the most effective stewards of this biodiversity.
That's a crucial point. And they're right there on the front lines, aren't they? Facing down illegal logging, the push for agriculture, and now these devastating fires. It really drives home the human cost.
Which brings us squarely back to the 2024 crisis.
Yeah.
The report really singles out Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil got hit incredibly hard. They had the worst drought on record, apparently. Turned the place into a tinderbox, basically.
Made fighting the fires almost impossible in some areas.
The figures are brutal. 2.8 million hectares lost just in Brazil. And what's really concerning is it looks like a reversal of some progress they'd made on conservation.
And it's important to remember, fire on this scale isn't natural for the Amazon. It's normally a very wet, humid ecosystem.
Right.
These huge, intense fires are a direct result of deforestation making things drier, combined with climate change impacts. It's a really dangerous feedback loop.
Deforestation leads to drier conditions mean worse fires mean more forest loss.
Exactly. And it wasn't only Brazil suffering. The situation in Bolivia sounds particularly dire.
A 200% increase in forest destruction there. That's enormous. They've apparently surpassed the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, in loss now.
That huge jump in Bolivia really highlights that this isn't just one country's problem. It's regional. And the report mentions other countries too. Mexico, Peru, Nicaragua, Guatemala, all showing, quote, alarming levels of deforestation. It's a widespread issue in Latin America.
Okay, so the Amazon is the sort of burning heart of the issue, but it's not the whole story globally.
No, not at all.
The report also points to massive wildfire losses elsewhere. Canada and Russia specifically, 5.2 million hectares combined. That's even more than Brazil lost in the tropics.
Yeah, and those are boreal forests. Now, boreal forests are adapted to fire to some extent. It's part of their natural cycle.
Right, seasonal fires.
But the scale of destruction seen recently is described as unprecedented. It shows that climate change is hitting forest ecosystems hard across different climate zones, different biomes, not just the tropics.
It's easy to feel a bit powerless looking at these numbers, but the report does highlight that people are fighting back. There are organizations doing vital work.
Definitely. Groups like the Amazon Conservation Association, the Sustainable Amazon Foundation are mentioned.
What sort of things are they actually doing on the ground?
Well, it's quite a mix, which is interesting. They're using, high-tech stuff like satellite monitoring to track where the fires and deforestation are happening in near real time.
Okay.
But just as importantly, they're working with people, empowering indigenous communities, helping develop sustainable land management policies, promoting things like ecotourism as an alternative way to make a living.
And sustainable farming seems key, too. The Nature Conservancy's agroforestry projects get a mention.
Yes, agroforestry. Basically, integrating trees and shrubs back into farming systems.
So it's not just clearing land.
Exactly. It's a way to make degraded land productive again, potentially restore it, and take the pressure off needing to clear new forest areas. It's seen as a much more sustainable path forward for agriculture in these regions.
That sounds promising. But then there's this quite sobering warning in the report from Matthew Hansen at the University of Maryland.
Yes.
He talks about the climate signal potentially overwhelming our ability to respond effectively. That sounds pretty bleak.
It is a stark warning. What Professor Hansen likely means is that the effects of climate change, more frequent droughts, heat waves, extreme weather, are happening so fast and hitting so hard that they're making forests incredibly vulnerable, maybe faster than our conservation strategies can adapt or keep up. It puts a real emphasis on the urgency. We might be running out of time to get ahead of the curve.
Which makes upcoming events like the Climate Summit in Belém, Brazil seem even more critical.
Hugely important.
There's apparently a big push for more funding for forest protection, much stricter land use rules, and this seems vital, more support for conservation led by indigenous communities themselves.
And that success story from Bolivia, the Charagua-Iamba indigenous territory, really illustrates that point, doesn't it?
It really does. They used early warning systems, sustainable policies managed by the community.
And they managed to mitigate fire damage much more effectively than surrounding areas. It shows the power of local knowledge and local control. Empowering those communities isn't just ethical, it's often the most effective strategy.
So when we sort of zoom out, take the bigger picture view, protecting the Amazon isn't just about saving some trees or animals, is it?
Not at all.
The report calls it a global life support system.
And that really sums it up. But you connect all the dots we've discussed, the oxygen, the climate stability, the sheer biodiversity, the freshwater, food security, the cultural heritage tied to it.
It's all interconnected.
It makes conserving the Amazon a global priority. It affects every single one of us, wherever we live.
And the message seems clear. This needs a massive coordinated effort. Governments, NGOs, scientists, businesses, local communities, everyone has to be involved.
It really demands a fundamental shift in how we see these ecosystems. Not as resources to be endlessly extracted, but as vital systems intrinsically linked to our own survival and well-being.
So wrapping up this deep dive, I think the sheer scale, the urgency of what happened in 2024, especially in the Amazon, really has to hit home. This isn't just another environmental report. It feels like a major alarm bell for the planet.
I agree. And thinking about those connections again, Amazon rain affecting the U.S., huge fires in the usually cold boreal forests, it just underlines how tightly bound together everything is on a global scale.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with maybe an unsettling final thought. We've seen these record losses. We've heard the expert concern that climate change might be outrunning our responses. So what kind of fundamental shifts in global priorities, maybe even in our own individual actions, are truly needed now to safeguard these absolutely vital places for the future? Something to seriously consider.